the 21st of January. That is the last time I loaded up MX Simulator, almost 6 months ago now. Also, I don't know why it's still doing this weird glitch on Sim with the black bits when I'm in like free view camera, because I went and downloaded the newest snapshot today and it's still doing it. So it's something to do with settings, maybe it's reshade, I have no idea. But hello everybody, welcome back to another MX Simulator video. Now, I didn't really have much intention of playing this game anytime soon. However, I hopped in a Discord call with old Raspa the other day, and he was watching on YouTube Mr. Luke Sullivan's replays or motos of Hangtown. Now, I hopped in, he screen shared, and I quite liked what I saw. The actual racing looked much slower than in years past, just to do with the roughness and how, like, I guess, small they've made the ruts this year. And I wanted to really give it a go myself and see how it rides. Now, you guys know I'm an old man. I can't keep up with the young kids on the tracks that are a million miles an hour, wide open everywhere. So when I see, like, I guess organisations we'll call RF making a conscious effort to slow things down, that sits really well with me. And it just looks really, really cool, the direction that they seem to be going in. And having a look at the feedback on the forum posts, it doesn't really seem to be negative. I saw more people saying that it's good than didn't like it. So I'm very curious to try out myself. Now, again, there's probably going to be quite a few legs off in this video. I'll cut out most of them, to be fair. You don't want to see me laying on the ground for 10 seconds at a time. And for the most part, I'll probably just be tiptoeing my way around the track. Because, again, it's literally, well, like 5 months. We'll say 5. Almost 6 months since I played this.
For all of you passionate gamers, you can now get 20% off all G Fuel products worldwide by using code LINS at checkout. And for any of you motorheads looking for some new drip or apparel, use code MXPR_LINS15, fxrracing.eu to get 15% off. All links and codes are in the description down below. Enjoy the video and drop a cheeky little like and subscribe.
I guess the weird legs offs are never going to go away, to be honest. But to be fair, I believe I'm running 250 Supercross suspension right now on a 450 on an outdoors track. So yeah, it's probably not going to go well. In terms of what I'm riding and like gear and stuff, I am riding a stock 2024 KX450, thanks to Mr. Isaiah Dixon for uploading that for everyone to use on the forums. And then FXR gear is just an old gear set I had in the game from somewhere, no idea. And then the helmet was part of a team pack when I tried making a comeback in like 2022 or 23, I don't know which one it was. But yeah, I've had many hot and cold spells on this game, many times where I thought that I wanted to get back into the action and into the flow of things. However, I just don't think it's ever going to come, unfortunately. I get much more enjoyment out of just hopping on this game every like couple of weeks, couple of months, and just seeing what sort of times I can do. Mostly I enjoy playing the random fun tracks, but I will say so far this track seems really, really enjoyable. Now, I saw people saying that they would like a little bit more rough in the corners and less on the face of jumps, and I'm not sure if that applies to Parlour or if it applies to Hangtown, because everything goes on within the same thread. But Hangtown so far seems really, really good, and this is the track that I watched Luke Sullivan play on. So I've got a rough idea of where I should be going in terms of just overall like fast lines. I've got no clue, no idea what lap times are either. But just one thing that really, really stood out is so Luke is a very, very fast player. I mean, he's won many, many races, and it was nice to see the pace he was having to go to not just wad himself in all the corners. Now, granted, when I was watching, well, the laps I watched was in traffic as well, so you can't just go flying down and try and pass someone in, I guess, what might not be the race line. But some of them were like really, really having to take their time and tiptoe around some of these. I mean, in years past, like this outside that I've just hit there would be huge. Like the ruts would be half the size of the rider. It'd be like as tall as the bike is. You could just crank the bike over, go 100 miles an hour, and that was it. And there was a period of time, I mean, this is going way, way back. If you go back and download like old 2012-ish tracks, for example, I think they're some of the most realistically made tracks in the game with how the rough and the ruts are. However, you then have the issue of the traction's not great on those, so you slide about a whole bunch to the point where it is unrealistic with how slippery it is. So it's nice to see a little bit of a middle ground here where the traction feels decent, but at the same time, you also do have to take your time and go slow. That's 2 laps in a row that I've done that. And I'd even go as far to say maybe the 450 feels a little bit on the overpowered side, which is rare. I know I always go on about how powerful the 450s are in Sim in general anyway, But for Nationals and really RF Supercross as well, it doesn't really tend to be a problem at all. But yeah, right now, this seems like I've got a lot of bike underneath me, so maybe 250s would be the way forwards. I imagine that with the engine braking that the 250s have, getting stopped and turning in some of these sharper ruts could be an issue with like, the front end tucking on you. But those are only issues for people that are pretty mid at the game like I am these days. I imagine all the top boys have no issue at all. They probably just jump double their way down through all these braking bumps, yeet into these ruts, get it cranked over with no problem at all. I am taking my time right now, mostly because obviously the muscle memory is not there and not flowing right now. But also, I have a feeling that if I try and go a little bit too fast and get the bike lent over in these ruts, the front wheel is just going to pop all the way up and out, and it's going to be an absolute nightmare for me. But so far, I mean, I feel like I'm doing better than I expected to do, at least. Anyway, take our time on this inside. And one thing that I do think these sorts of ruts benefit when you get forced to slow down is it lets people move around a lot more on the track and take different lines. One thing that tends to happen is if all the ruts are fairly big and you can get cranked over, it's usually either like inside everywhere if the rut allows you to, or if not, outside everywhere, and it's just go a million miles an hour around the entire track. And with stuff like this, I haven't raced anything yet. I've had no opinions from the racers, but just from an outside newbie perspective, I generally feel like this could lead to better racing. And I haven't watched back any of the SYS streams yet, but I'm actually really tempted to do so now to see what the top boys are doing these days. I did hear apparently Payson is a man on the mission again, and he's going rather fast at the moment. That was after Parlour, I heard that. I haven't watched Hangtown, to be fair. But yeah, the 250 racing that I think I watched about 3 laps worth of one of Luke's motos, and it looked really, really enjoyable. So I'm a fan. I mean, I'm liking the direction that RF is going at the moment. I mean, it doesn't affect me in the slightest. You know, I'm not racing on this game, and probably won't do. I'm a little bit too try-hard on MX bikes to risk losing all the muscle memory. But to hop on and play these out of the blue, especially since they're like free tracks as well, you pay to race on this game rather than paying for the tracks. It's nice. I do quite like just hopping on and seeing what the pros are racing. I couldn't imagine trying to go really, really quick around here for 35-ish minutes for the length of a moto. Oh, done it again. 3rd time in a row. Oh, I survived that one. That's okay. That must be very, very difficult. And I also have no idea how it would rough up with the road. I'm not sure how big them bumps would get, how big the ruts would get to be able to carry more speed. But I think the semi road, and in terms of ruts, it can sometimes go well or poorly. It's been a long time since I've done a deep moto. What used to happen sometimes, you just get like really weird like hooks. But that was when the ruts were huge. You'd be going through it with so much speed. So now that they've been made a bit smaller, I wonder if they just end up like a good, decent size by the end of the racing. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Ah, rest in peace. The only downside we've got, to be fair, on the tracks is how RF, they do this every year, to be fair, so it's not a anomaly by any means. But they'll always race on essentially the previous year's tracks, because they race before the real life one, I believe on Wednesdays, potentially, maybe, not 100% sure. So yeah, they race on like Wednesdays. So Hangtown, for example, right here. What's going on with my legs off? Jesus Christ. So Hangtown, for example, we've still got the like big off-camber corner in the first, I guess, half of the track, whereas in real life, obviously, they completely removed it. So that's kind of, I am kind of enjoying the direction the Ariel on MX Bike has gone this year, where they're waiting until the following week to race. And there's always the argument of, does it take away from any excitement racing the week afterwards? But I'd much rather race on a track that is exactly what the pros are racing on, rather than the year prior's version. But it just means that next year on Sim, they'll get to race all the changes. I'm going to get another legs off land on this fail. No, I didn't. Okay. I don't know if it has no collisions, but I didn't really feel anything there. Unless I just got lucky with how far over I landed on it. Let's drop it. Oh, God. I do need to remember that my rear brake on this game is literally set to a button rather than like an analog. And when I'm saying analog, I don't mean in terms of stick. I mean like it is on-off. It's my, what is it, left bumper on Xbox, L1 on PlayStation, this one here that I'm pressing on the controller overlay. I have no idea why I ever set it up that way, but it's how I started playing the game from day one, and I got to a pretty decent speed while doing it, and most of the time I just use engine braking. A lot of these hills, for example, you kind of want to just be blipping the throttle gently on it over the bumps anyway. There's no real point where you want to be using the back brake, I don't think, unless techniques have changed and times have changed. Absolutely no idea. Let's try this inside. Let's just roll down. pop up and over that. That didn't feel too bad at all. I mean, you cut off a lot. Oh, don't. There we go. Almost wadded myself. You don't. You cut off a lot of time from going all the way around the outside, but then obviously you get choked up a little bit as you exit the corner and have to roll. So yeah, I'm not sure which one is majorly faster there. We get this little triple to the inside. I feel like inside here is probably 100% quicker than the outsides at all. Just on small observation. I do miss this being a huge, huge jump. I do wish it was still as big as it used to be. It was kind of like one of the key features of Hangtown, and then I'm not sure. Oh, please no. Oh, thank God. Yeah, I'm not sure why they kind of had it for a year or two and then removed it. Bring it back. Bring it back. Oh, my God. So even though the ruts are small, they can still hold you pretty decently. Like, fairly decently, to be honest. You'll never catch me trying to follow these ruts in first person. That'd be an absolute nightmare, but third person should be okay. And I'm not sure how high up it is on JLV's to-do list, but I believe he said at some point he was looking at getting more of a dynamic first-person camera, because that's one of the main things really that prevents me playing first person in this game. Is it makes me just feel a bit sick with how rigid it all is. I know you can get like a gyro effect to where you can smooth it all out, but I like moving with the bike. I don't like the bike just being fairly stationary and straight underneath me. I like seeing it kind of move side to side, and it's something that I always need to get used to in this game, is not leaning the rider side to side, just going forwards and backwards. It's always so weird, and it's strange knowing that I spent thousands and thousands of hours in this game. I want to say probably 4,000 to 5,000 in the 5 or so years that I played it. And to think that all of that muscle memory has just disappeared because I spent a couple of years playing bikes now is actually insane to me. Basically means they were just pointless, to be fair, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm not really riding as well on any other laps I did on lap 1. I think lap 1 was probably my best one. Maybe because I was taking my time. Maybe I got a little bit too confident now and I'm trying to go too fast and just wadding myself. But yeah, the back end kind of likes doing its own thing. I find like I'll randomly get a kick on one of these downhills and it'll just send me spiraling to my doom. Even if I feel comfortable, it'll just randomly do it. It'll just send a little triple up here again. Lovely. And then was it double, check up a bit, double all the way to the top. That's probably the cleanest I've got that as well. Step down here. Probably want to go around the outside of this roller. You can probably carry more speed around that rut, but I do not feel very confident in turning on braking bumps. But I genuinely, the scaling, like the bumps, the ruts, I'm a fan. I really, really am. That is probably old man talk, because this is kind of why I want to see on bikes as well, but the game's physics just, I don't think is ready for it. If your front wheel, if you're going to go over a rut on this game, you'll just crash, or you'll be able to stand the bike upright and either tiptoe across the top of it or ride over it and survive. On bikes, if you're going to go over a rut, you best be ready to channel your inner Tony Hawk, because you're hitting 900s, 360 no-scopes on the wrist, like wide ladder stall trick shots every single time without fail. Yeah, your bike will just keep flying. Very weird physics, very glitchy when you get to the top of the rut, which I think is why we have to have ruts that are fairly big on that game, just to hold us in without any issue. And I mean, you've seen how far you have to get cranked over on bikes just to get the bike to turn on flat ground. So it's definitely, the whole system needs reworking, but I can't really see any big updates coming to the game anytime soon, or any updates at all, to be honest. We've been left in the blue a little bit. Well, there you go, it's my best lap so far, about 2:30. I reckon if I load up the RF website and go and look at qualifying, I reckon I'm probably about 30 seconds off the pace, and they're probably running like around about the 2-minute mark. 2:11, okay. I mean, 20 seconds behind is still an incredible amount of time, but I thought they'd be going even faster than that. So how true it is, I think Supercross and outdoors work fairly differently on this game, to where outdoors you get like the entire day's worth of qualifying rather than being limited to let's say 30 minutes like we do on bikes. And I do not like the way they do that on Sim. I really don't. It just comes down to who has the most time in a day. And I don't know if they still do it, but back when I was qualifying, when I tried making a comeback, before they had it where the qualifying servers also have a road. So not only do you then have to try and qualify against people that have spent an entire day grinding the track out, you also then have to try and cherry pick your lobbies to get the right number of people to get a good amount of a road and get the ruts to form in the best way possible to go as fast as possible. Let's say, for example, you went into a lobby with 10 wobblers like myself, and we was taking the lines that aren't seen as like the fastest lines, then the main line isn't going to build up enough where you can hit it as fast as possible. Whereas, let's say if you do get in a lobby with people like Payson and Alexis and Braden, for example, they'll all be taking the same fast line, so that route will build up even bigger, so then you can hit it even faster. So that was an aspect that I wasn't a big fan of in quality. I don't think anything's going to change, just because of my one random opinion, so don't hate on me for saying things like that. But that if there was one thing that I could ever change about the sim, I guess, format, it would be less time to quality, so track releases later, and then also no erode in qualifying servers. Again, that could be outdated. That could not be the case anymore. This is just from what I experienced back in the day. Literally like 2 years ago. When I say back in the day, not that long ago. Yeah, I definitely like our way of doing things. And mostly it's because I'm too slow to just run hot laps anymore on either game. I just try and do race pace only, and a lot of the time you can't really implement race pace or good race IQ when the track has been grinded for a week prior. It's only if everyone's only had 30 minutes to an hour maximum to practice and then qualify that you can really rely on race pace or race lines, race smarts, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, that's my unwanted 2 pence there. But I'm not going to come back to racing, but generally I could see myself downloading these tracks each and every week if they follow this same sort of scaling. I saw one person say that the scaling was weird because they've made more rough into the corners to slow you down, then skinnier ruts. Then the track scaling is still like 2 times, so it's 2 times the size it would be IRL. But when it comes to sim, I think you kind of have to make the tracks wider and longer. Mostly because, well, firstly, the bikes are very, very powerful anyway, and they get up to speed quite quickly. But then also, you know, if you barely breathe on somebody, and they'll crash, and they'll be 10 seconds down. So try and give people as much space to work within as possible, I think is a good thing. So keep doing what they're doing. You know, this probably one of my favourite RF tracks in a long time right now, and I'm not even doing well. You know, 2-minute 30s are atrocious. I don't think that would even have me anywhere near trying to qualify for these races. So RF, I know there's probably nobody from RF watching, maybe 1 or 2 people that still play in the pro scene. I have no idea if you want to pass it on. You're doing a really, really good job. I think you're doing a good job as well. I've not seen anyone else's opinions in like a YouTube community sense, but just from what I read on the forums, the majority seem to be quite happy with it. And it does remind me of the old days a little bit, and slowing things down I definitely think is good for the game. It's not good to be going flat out absolutely everywhere. There was a period in like 2017-ish, I think, with the RF Outdoors, where the traction was through the roof, like so grippy. The ruts were just walls everywhere. It was so quick, you just could not keep up with anybody. It was insane. You just had to be on the absolute limit everywhere to even try and get in qualifying. So I like it. So I'm a big fan, and I will probably maybe not come back to racing, but come back to playing the game every now and then just to experience and try these tracks, because they've done a really, really good job. And then aside from that, I have downloaded the high quality version with the high object pack as well. I'm having no FPS issues at all. Granted, it's just me in testing, but I think for MX Simulator, it also looks really, really good. So now if we could just somehow work on changing the engine sounds in the game so it doesn't sound like a bunch of angry bees, that'd make it even better. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you all for watching as always. If you did enjoy it, drop a cheeky little like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. It's always very much appreciated. And have a lovely rest of the day, wherever you're up to. I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.
I'm sacrificing my life, I'm sacrificing my mind, I'm sacrificing my sanity, but most importantly, I'm sacrificing my time. Boy, I feel fine, I feel like I am a king. Honestly, I can't complain. Even with faith that's the size of a grain of some salt, I will still move a mountain and do what I want. I got salt.